6 months ago, I started recording myself playing Wolf Quest Anniversary Edition. Our protagonist that I played as was Knight, a male wolf with a almost fully, black pelt, 2 yearlings. From the first litter that he ever had was his mate Osaika. He won Osaika over after killing her entire pack right in front of her because they match each other's freak, and she was like, "Ooh, that's my man," and decided to mate with him at that point. Their first set of puppies, just to give you the rundown, because nobody saw the first litter of puppies, only saw the second in its full entirety. The first litter was all boys: Toko, Elki, Kanuna, and Tupi. So what I do is I name each litter after they become yearlings. So the first litter, the surviving ones were Toko and Elki. Kanuna got sick and Tupi got sick. They were named Summit Rise, named for being downtrodden and diseased, and then lifted up into healthy, successful wolves, the 2 that survived, that is. Elki would later on be the successor to Sword and Shield, because we are 3 generations deep, mind you. The second litter, which was the one that is the most documented out of all of them, comprised of Noshi, male, Okami, male, Makya, male, Kaya, the only girl, and then Mato. I'm pretty sure Mato was the runt. Their name that they got was Tri-Edge, because they were on the brink of death all the time, and also 3s were prominent. Only 3 of them lived. They had to do 3 dens, things like that. Very much a 3-centered litter. Noshi got sick and died at Trihaven, which was their rendezvous. Okami got sick at 3 months old, just before the rendezvous move. Maki got sick, but he lived. Kaya also got sick, but she lived. And Mato got sick, but he lived. They were the most sickly puppies ever. Then the third litter that you really only got to see just a tidbit of was named the Phoenix litter. They were named after being a relatively healthy litter after many sickness-related deaths. Up to this point, I had not lost a puppy to anything but sickness. It comprised of Lyrionis, male, Vanidae, female, Sylvian, male, Brahm, male, Arancha, female, and Ladonna, female. What happened after I stopped recording was quite honestly a tragedy. Ladonna was eaten by a bear. The first puppy ever taken by a predator. It was a bear. Her and Vanidae were out running around playing. You know the little animation where they run after each other? The bear came out of nowhere, and I was like, holy shit. I can only pick up one. I picked up Vanidae, and Ladonna got 8. I felt horrible. Arancha got sick, but she was pretty grown. It was like the last little stretch at the rendezvous where you have to go like till September. It was so bad. I felt so bad for her. Then the litter that no one has seen other than me would be our 4th litter, the 4-leaf clovers litter, named because their names all begin with C, and they're all very lucky to be alive from the prevalent illness akin to parvo. This is just my storytelling, because I'm leaving out a lot of stuff. I document all of this and also put my creative spin on it. So we have Conan, male, Karina, female, Celeste, female, unnamed and unnamed. I stopped trying to get attached to them when they came out of the cooch, so I stopped giving them names until they were at least 15 pounds, and sometimes I would even wait until near the end of the rendezvous. I was so sketched out about it. Conan was born 3 pounds. If you remember, probably not. Brahm was born 3 pounds. So they were tiny. Celeste, love, she was like perfect. Her description literally says a perfect balance of her mother and father, and she was. Our 5th litter was our silence litter. Most uninteresting litter I swear to God I've ever had. So I haven't told you about like if any of them have died, dispersed, or anything. I will actually narrate that later. I'm just giving you the rundown. But spoiler alert, this litter is when Toko died. I was going to have Toko be the successor and not Elki, because Elki if you remember, I called him a slow bastard all the time because he wasn't the fastest, and I didn't want to work as a wolf that was slow, and I would have to depend on more stamina than just being able to quickly run at shit. But that did not happen. So I had to have Elki as the successor. Anyways, the silence litter, which was Sage, female, Sheena, female, Sar, male, and an unnamed male. They were named because their names all begin with S, and they were a hassle-free litter. And also, none of the puppies that were like unnamed, up to this point, the puppies that were unnamed, they just died to illness. The sixth and final litter to ever come out of Osaika and Night were the Galactic Tragedy litter. They were named because of the scale of their misfortune. Their mother died, and their replacement mother left after their father died. So, the Galactic Tragedy consists of Gaius, male, Gallagher, male, and Gavril, male. Osaika, these kids did not know her at all. They got to 15 pounds, and on the way to the rendezvous, she died. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So, I killed a bison close to the house, fed the kids, got them bigger, and I straight up ran to the hills to find a new woman to help Knight because he was old and it was so hard for me to hunt by myself. He found Nagita. She was a 4-year-old dispersal. She was gorgeous and she helped tremendously. But as I said, their adoptive mother left shortly after their father died. When the torch was handed to Elki, Elki was sick of being in Amethyst Mountain. So they went to Slough Creek. I think that's how you say it.
Slough.
And Nagita was like, I've done what I promised your father, I'm leaving. So she dispersed again. She left to go find another mate and left Elki with yearlings to figure out how he's supposed to teach them. You know, Elki was with the puppies all the time, but he never had to fully teach them how to be a wolf. He had to be with the yearlings, the 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, literally everyone. And also, he did not have his second half, which is Toko. Toko and Elki were like bonded like this. You can't see me, but I'm doing the little Satoru Gojo Infinity thing. I don't know what, I'm crossing my fingers. That's what it's called. Not Satoru Gojo Infinity thing. Crossing my fingers. Elki, after that giant fight between him and Nagita, found a mate. Her name was Pallas, and she was 4 years old. At this point, I believe Elki was 6. Yes, he was 6. They had one litter together, and it is called Hunger Strike, named due to the struggles with food their entire life as pups and yearlings. This is so funny because they had issues with hunger before the update of the prey abundance came out. And then I was in a whole nother world of her, but we'll get to that. We have Mose, which is male, Faust, female, Jay, male, Severina, female, Scipio, male, and Blythe, female. Moza, or Mose, I literally called him 50 billion different names. Adorable, loved him. He did get sick, but he was fine. Faust was born the runt. All of her stats, except for speed, have a minus, may it be 1 or 2. But guess the fuck what? Spoiler alert, she's the Gen 3 legacy holder. That's my girl. So let's go to the ones that died. Scipio died to starvation, because if you don't know how the game works, on 1 health, they will not eat, they will just simply die, because it just ticks down in intervals, and they won't be able to eat enough for it to stop ticking down in that interval, so they just die. And I was literally right there. This is why I wish that I still continued recording, because I was right there. The despair in my voice was probably immense. Blythe got sick the day her mother died. Dropping that bomb on you. Pallas died to a bison. And now people are probably being like, did you force her to be killed by a bison? Why, yes, of course. Storytelling purposes. So, since there was a very big emphasis on hunger for them, I made it to where Pallas would go on her own and try and get more food. After Scipio died, Pallas was like, I'm going to go hunt something bigger. No mule deer, no pronghorn, that's not enough. She was like, I've taken down bison with Elki and his siblings. I can do this if it's an old one. She couldn't. Gallagher found Pallas's dead body. Blythe got sick the day after her mother went and got herself killed. Celeste says she died of heartbreak, shit like that. She stopped eating, but it was just a normal sickness, but storytelling purposes, yet again. Our Jin 2 second litter is from Elki and Amora. Amora was 3 years old, Elki was 7. Can we get some police sirens? Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. Anyways, I just thought she was cute. She has, she has both capital K genetics, which isn't the best. But, she was beautiful, and I wanted to see what her puppies would look like. Their litter, drum roll please! This was the Greek famine. And you want to know why? Because the update with the prey abundance came out, and I turned it on, and it wasn't good. It was not good. So, we have unnamed female, Aphrodite female, Atlas male, Artemis female, Hades male, Demeter female, and Zeus male. They were named Greek famine, as I just said, because of the update coming out for prey abundance. And also, all of them died to starvation except for one. Aphrodite was the first to die of starvation. Atlas was the second to die of starvation. Artemis was the third to die of starvation. Hades was the fourth to die of starvation. Demeter was the fifth to die of starvation. And Zeus was the last to die of starvation. So all of them except for one died to starvation. The first one that didn't have a name just died to illness. Storytelling purposes. I had Elki kill himself. Whoa! I know. And it was also kind of a punishment to me. I was like, I can't go on. I can't have another litter with Elki. I'm sick. So I had him jump off of this Pride Rock kind of place at Slough Creek. And since he was an elder, it was one and done. I jumped and that was it. The succession technically went to Amora. But as you will hear when I give my full story, long-drawn explanation of the actual timeline of events with storytelling, it went to Kaya. Because Kaya was the only one that wanted to keep the Sword and Shield legacy alive, even though she was one of the last ones to remember how tainted and bloody of a legacy it truly is, because Kaya's father and these kids' grandfather would kill every wolf that would dare step close to his family. He was bloodthirsty, and you couldn't even classify him as borderline obsessive with protecting them. He was out of his mind. But the runt, Faust, stayed with Kaya. Kaya was getting elderly. She stayed until Kaya died and finally went off by herself. This is a whole chunk of lore that you don't know yet, so I will omit this. But a female from a long since rival pack had died, and Faust got wind of it. Faust, whatever, sue me. And wandered into their territory and met Demetrius, the 5-year-old male who was recently widowed, and his brother Nicholas, who personally I think is a cuter wolf, but So Faust took over this pack by acting like she was weak and frail, although she quite is compared to most wolves, and luring Demetrius in. She inherited 4 children: Mirella, Andreas, Marina, and Antony. Antony was killed during an elk stampede. He didn't last long. Now they have puppies. I haven't documented them because these puppies have not been named yet, and I typically only put them down once they're named. So that is it for catching up with what the hell went on in these 6 months that I haven't been recording. But now we're going to get on to the actual, hopefully more cohesive storytelling bit of it, which will come after this video because it's going 15 minutes too strong and nobody has time for that.